Mark Bryant, Tara Swanson of the Bryant Law Center back for part 2 of WPSD Local 6 Legal Line, being compliant with the governor and CDC and wearing our masks. And that brings us to our first question on segment 2 from Dan, who says, I was fired from my job because I got a hernia. I could not file for an incident report because I'm part-time. What can I do? Terrace, what do you think?
So there's a couple of different things to unpack there. If you're asking specifically about whether you can be fired, I would need more details about your injury and what caused it, and how you provided them notice and that sort of thing. However, Kentucky is generally an at-will employment state, which means you can be fired for almost any reason except for, in violation of civil rights and that sort of thing. So again, I can't really answer that without having more details. You may have some options with workers' compensation or unemployment, but again, without getting more details about how you received the hernia and that sort of thing, I can't really answer that. So feel free to call our office and we'll get more details about your injury and maybe get you pointed in a good direction.
We have a question from Barry, who says, I rented a small piece of equipment and something on it broke while I was using it, injuring my leg. Do I have a claim against the company that rented the equipment to me?
Well, I'll tell you what, we just had a case very similar to that, and after we reviewed the contract that you had, that this person had with the rental company, we determined that if they had one at all, which they waived any rights that they might have had to any kind of injury from that, and number 2, you have to take it through arbitration rather than file a lawsuit on it. So we'd have to look at your contract in order to know the answer to that. Under some circumstances, you might have a claim, but without looking at the rental contract, I can't tell you that. But if you want to call my office at 270-442-1422 and fax or email your contract down there, I can give you a better answer for it.
I have a question from Paul, who says, I was riding my motorcycle and another car caused me to wreck. I was injured. I did not have a helmet on. Will that affect my claim? I guess that would depend on the extent of his injuries, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really depends on what type of injuries you sustain. It's kind of similar to a seatbelt. If you did not have a helmet on and you injured your head, then your helmet could have protected you from that, so it might affect your claim. But if you broke your leg, for example, wearing a helmet is not going to protect you from that injury, so you could have a claim for that. It really is going to depend on what your injuries were. It's really important to always wear your helmet, number 1, so you'll be safe, and number 2, if you ever do get in an accident, you can say honestly that you protected yourself the best you could. And also keep up with your helmet. There's different regulations about if you drop your helmet from a certain height, you have to replace it. As long as you're keeping up with those regulations and wearing it, you should be fine.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Time for one last quick answer. My dad died in an accident. My mom did not want to file a claim. Do me and my siblings have the right to file on his behalf?
Well, the question on that becomes, who is the administrator of the estate or the executor of the estate, or has there been a estate done? Something like that, they really do need to call a lawyer, because there's no sense in letting the insurance company keep the money when the family could get it. So the answer is elusive, but I think you need to pick up the phone and make a phone call to a lawyer that deals in this all the time, and that's what we do. So please call us.
Mark Bryant, Tara Swanson of the Bryant Law Center, our guest today on this edition of Local 6 Legal Line.